So we're going to shift gears a little bit, man. Now I want to talk about you as the basketball player. Now, we're going to go back in time, way back. Take me back to when you can remember the first time you picked up a basketball. What was that moment? What was that for you?
I can't even remember the first time I picked up the basketball because I tell the story all the time. When I was first born, I came home and my mom had me in the room up in my little carriage, whatever. She went to go to the bathroom and two of my uncles, my cousins, they came to the little basket net or whatever, and they were amazed by my hands and feet. And I guess one snuck out the room, went home, and came back with a basketball. And he put it in my crib, and my hand, they said my hands were so big that I pushed the ball up. so I was introduced to basketball the first few days, and they were screaming. They're like, this the one's going to make it. This the one's going to make it. So I guess that was my first memory of basketball, from the story from my mom. But basketball always been a part of my life, always in my family. I have brothers, uncles, cousins. They all played, none at the college level, but I remember going to all the games and seeing my brothers and cousins playing. So it was just always around me.
So going through that, at what point in your career, as far as playing, as getting involved, when did you say, you know what, this is going to be what I do? Basketball this is my ticket. When did that light click for you?
It always was my dream. It drove me crazy. Like when I go to bed or I woke up late because I felt like I played the odd games. I discovered that, it was only so many guys in the NBA, 423 or 33. I found that on the second grade. So I started playing the odd game, and I was like, man, it's only 400 people in the world to make this league. And this is what I wanted to do. So, there was nobody dragging me to the gym. There was no trainers. I just went to the park all the time. And I was young, and I used to watch the old guys. And then when I got around 12 and 13, the old guys would let me come and play with them. And one thing about the old guys, they told me straight up, you come out here, you better not turn the ball over. You better play defense. You better make every layup. And it made me realize, how to play, one, with older guys and how to value wins and losses because I had a role. I stuck to my role. And I just kept on just working on there. And then I finally got to the point where I got pretty good, and it just took off from there.
Let me ask you this, because everybody's story, when you get to that mountaintop, everybody just sees the dunks and the flash, but they don't understand the road that it took to get there. What was one of the hardest setbacks or obstacles that you had to overcome before you could reach the success that you were able to reach?
Ooh, man, it was everything. I come from a small city, not much, a lot of crime. Just a lot of guys didn't make it to college because they didn't have the grades. So I know I wanted to make it to the certain point. I knew I had to go to school because back then wasn't many guys going out of high school to the NBA, and I wasn't good enough to do that. So I knew I had to do everything I can to be one of those 433 guys to make it to the NBA. So, I was not that talented, but I could jump. So I had to work on my shooting, had to work on my dribbling, and it was just a constant work ethic.
And that constant work ethic definitely paid off because what most people don't know, there was a year you led the league in threes being made. Like I did some homework now. I remember all the dunks, but I didn't know you had a jump shot like that. But all right, we go to college, you go to Michigan State, you have a great time, all that stuff is amazing. You get the call that you're being drafted. What is that feeling like? What was that moment when you knew you finally reached that goal that you had been trying to reach your entire life?
In the 2001 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Jason Richardson from Michigan State University.
It was amazing. Quick story, getting to Michigan State and, my sophomore year had a couple of reporters talk to me. I think it was maybe 5 or 6 games left in the season. And it was like, hey, Jason, you leaving for the NBA? And I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? That was, of course, my dream, but I didn't even think about it. And I go to Coach Izzo right after I got done talking to the reporters. He said, hey, Jay, let's get through the season. And we'll talk after the season over. We ended up having a pretty good season, make it to the Final Four, lose. A week later, I go into his office like, hey, Coach, a lot of people calling my family saying I could be a lottery pick, this and that. He said, Jason, let me find out. I got some connection with some GMs and some scouts and stuff like that. Let's get back in a week or two and we'll figure it out. He called me back in the office 2 days later. He said, everything I heard, you're a top 5 pick. I can't tell you to stay here. And that made me realize, one, that I was going to the NBA, and two, that I was always going to have a great relationship with Izzo, because we had a team won a national championship my freshman year. My sophomore year went to the Final Four, and we had a top 5 recruiting class coming in. And here he telling me, I can't stay at Michigan State. I need to go. And so that's the moment I realized, like, man, I finally reached the mountaintop.
Mm. You know, it's always good to have that mentor who actually can be honest with you, because a lot of these young men, they get so many bad information from so many different people telling them, oh, you can do this, do that. But it just goes to show you why Coach Izzo has been doing what he's been doing for so many years. He knows the game of basketball. Now, I always ask all of my athletes this. You get that first check. What was that first big purchase? What was the first big purchase when you got that bag?
You know what? It was when I was in LA. I was getting ready for the season. Getting ready for the draft. And I go to 310 motoring. Okay. Pulling up a 310 motoring. And it's crazy because I'm in 310 motoring. I'm about to buy this Escalade. I'm waiting for these rims to get put on. But I'm in 310 motoring, and this guy comes in. And he got 4 chains. He got diamond watch on, rings, big old earrings, got these glasses, got diamonds on them. And so we're talking, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey, what you in here, young fella? You know? And I was like, oh, man, just up in here, I'm about to buy a truck, my first truck. I'm smiling. He's like, oh, that's what's up, man. I remember that moment. He said, man, I'm about to go up in here about 5 cars. I'm about to buy a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, Rolls Royce. He naming all these cars. So we got to talking, and I'm still like, man, who's this dude? All this fake jewelry on. I'm talking to him, and he's like, so where you come from? I was like, from Michigan, and that. Oh, you from Michigan? Oh, man, I'm from Grand Rapids. No idea I was talking to Floyd Mayweather. Whoa! Talking to Floyd Mayweather. I'm about to buy my first big purchase, and he just talking to me, and we having this conversation. We start talking about Michigan, and he start talking about his life. He wasn't Floyd, as we know.
Yeah, but he was pretty boy back then. He was pretty boy back then.
Yeah, he was pretty boy back then. But I think it was one of the most amazing moments of my life, because I'm sitting there just talking to one of the greatest boxers of all time, while I'm at the same time buying my first big purchase, which is the Escalade.
Well, I think it's safe to say the diamonds may have been real. If it was Floyd.
They were real.
Listen, if it was Floyd, there was nothing fake about it. Boy, that Floyd keep this thing going. Okay. So now listen, most people don't know, especially for my younger viewers, you know, when they think of the Warriors, they think of the Splash Bros, and they think of Steph and Clay and Draymond and all them. But see, all my real old head basketball fans, we know about the Warriors back in the day when you and Barron and all y'all. Back in the day, the Warriors were actually tough, but y'all didn't necessarily get the pub that you wanted. In your opinion, what was the best era of Warriors basketball?
Well, me, I was just a basketball fan, and the only time basketball came on TV was on NBC. Mm-hmm. So NBA on NBC, I remember the little peacock and the graphics and stuff like that. And every now and then, you see Run TMC, you see Mitch Richmond, Chris Mullin, Tim Hardaway. That was my first glimpse of the Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. And I can remember once I got drafted by the Warriors, or not got drafted, but once I went out to Golden State for a workout, the first thing I asked my agent, where's Golden State at? I had no idea where Golden State is at. I know Golden State was California, but I didn't know what part of California. But it definitely is an amazing city. Oakland always got a special place for me. The fans out there is amazing. Everything that goes on with the Warriors of winning, having guys like Steph and Clay and Draymond is all deserving, because those fans went through a lot of losing for a lot of years.
But you know what? You guys played hard. But could you imagine the open lanes you would have going to the basket if you had a Clay and a Steph out there flanking the wings? You may have dunked on the whole league. But, Speaking of dunking, let's look back. Who was the first person that you remember posterizing in the league? Your most memorable dunk on somebody?
Man, it's kind of hard. It's been a lot. But I think the one that stood out the most was on Sean Bradley. And, everybody wanted to dunk on Sean Bradley. He's 7'6", whatever, 7'7", whatever it is. And, it was a tie game. I was with the Warriors, and the ball came off the rim, and I just jumped. And he jumped too, and he grabbed me in midair, and I still mustered it with my right hand and dunked on him. We fell on top of each other. I probably had more before that, but that was the first one I actually remember every second of that play.
Yeah, because that was just that moment. So I guess if that's one's hard, do you happen to have a top 5 of dunks in your opinion? I know that's got to be one of them. Do you have some other ones that are most memorable to you? Because I'm gonna tell you why you talking about it. I'm gonna play that clip. I'm gonna go find it somewhere. So we're gonna relive this. Editing right. We're gonna have it together now.
Yeah. Well, 2 of them happened in college. I can remember 2 in college. The Sean Bradley one. I think I got one on Ben Wallace. And the one I can remember, it wasn't a great dunk, but I just remember that, I dunked on Tim Duncan. This is crazy. I dunked on Tim Duncan in Oakland. And it was the softest dunk I ever had. Like I barely kind of fingertipped it. It was a big part of the moment. And I can remember the next time we played Tim Duncan was like 20, 30 games later. And I go to dunk on him and he blocks it. Boom. It ain't happening again. I was like, what are you talking about? And I had to remember I dunked on him 20 games before. He remembered that. He didn't forget it. So it stuck out to me that, a guy like that to remember a little fingertip dunk and make sure I would never dunk on him again.
Listen, Timmy wasn't playing with you, man. Oh, okay. Now, listen, those are some amazing points.